Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world. My name is Karima and I run Dynamic Online Service, and this YouTube channel is called Marketing That Converts. And I'm coming to you today from Australia, halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, where it is midday, just gone midday on a Saturday. Today, I'm a little bit sick of doing all of the Facebook ad number stuff that I've been doing, or Meta ads. As you can see, I'm still stuck on Facebook, not Meta, that I've been doing for the last, I don't know, few weeks. So I was going to be a bit more generic today and talk a little bit more about lead generation. And in particular, I want to focus on lead generation for people offering professional services. I'm not talking about doctors, lawyers, auto mechanics. I'm talking about people who are doing professional services such as graphic designers, building websites, marketing, offering Facebook ads, Meta ads, offering social media management. The less, the less specific things that you might think to go and do a Google search on. If I want an auto mechanic, I'm going to go search for an auto mechanic. People fix cars in XYZ place. If I want a lawyer, I'm going to go find a lawyer who's in XYZ place. Although that's changing nowadays because we've got a lot more legal systems, legal services being provided via online. What else would be, if I want to know, a dentist, I need to look for a dentist that's in my local area. If I want a doctor, I need to look for a doctor, chiropractor, physiotherapist, anything that's really strictly local. That's not the group I'm talking about. People will go onto Google and happily search for them. That's a different means of lead generation. What I'm talking about is the people that are out there. They're generally working remotely. They can be working remotely in any place in the world. And one of my big bugbears is the people who say, but are you local? Well, no, because I've got a computer and I got a webcam and we can talk just the same as if, I worked next door to you. And I'll say more on that as we progress. But people who are, say, living in Australia, and as an Australian, this is a great way for Australians to become part of the world economic community. Australia is a population of, 26, 27 million or whatever it is, 25 million, whereas the US is, 330 million. And then they add the UK at 60 million, and then add Canada, and it just opens up for us as Australians a world of opportunity. I mean, I've had a request this morning via LinkedIn. I've been posting a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. So I've had a request this morning from someone in Washington, up near Seattle, Washington State, not Washington DC, and they approached me about doing some Meta ads for them. It doesn't matter where you are. In fact, as Australians, we have a bit of an advantage because what we charge as Australians with the current conversion rate, we can be much more competitive price-wise as Australians than if they were to go and hire the same level of expertise in the UK or the US. We're obviously not as cheap as the overseas, lesser economic, places like the Philippines or like Ukraine or well, that's not happening much anymore, but Romania and India and those sorts of places. But in terms of a higher level of expertise with a value, so as an Australian, I am 30% less than if they were going to go and hire that same expertise in the US. And that's a good competitive advantage for us, so long as we know what's happening in those markets. Like, I wouldn't do marketing for something that's very specific in the US that I didn't also have experience with, A, in the US, and B, also within Australia. Like, I would never go and market guns or holsters for guns, or things about concealed carry permits, You know, products like that I would never market here because it's just not my area of expertise. The same as I would never market something like 401k products. It's just a market I just don't understand, and I'm not interested in understanding. So what does lead generation for those people look like is the important point, and it consists of a number of things. Firstly, it consists of having an online presence. A website, it can be as basic as basic as basic. It can be just a one-page Wixer, a one-page WordPress, Squarespace. It doesn't really matter what it is, because all it is an informational site. But it must demonstrate your expertise. It must demonstrate your ability to show to people that you know what you're talking about. And it must demonstrate also client testimonials. Please try and make them real client testimonials, although I do appreciate that in the early days, that's really hard. So what people often do is they often go and, you know, do some free services, design a website for free, say for a not-for-profit or for their local sporting club, and then that becomes their, you know, part of their portfolio. But show your expertise, show your testimonials, and more importantly, have a way for people to contact you. If you go to KarimaR.com, you'll find in a lot of places throughout my website, it has a button that says let's chat, or let's talk, I think called it at the moment. And that will take you through to a spot where you get to book a call, 30 minutes complimentary chat. I tell you now, it's never 30 minutes. It's usually more like an hour. But it's free. It's a case for you to prove and show your expertise to people, get to know you. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you sound like? Do you know what my business is doing? So it's a two-way street. First, I get to find out what their business is, and secondly, they get to find out a little bit about me. And that's been my main lead generation spot on the internet for 20 odd years. On top of that, so that's the sort of baseline infrastructure. So you've got a website, you've got a some link up to a booking software, some link up to an email marketing campaign, because you want people who come in and book to be then retargeted by emails, because you get those who go to the website but don't book. They can be retargeted by email. Also on my website, I've had a lead generation vehicle, which is a PDF podcast, a PDF, and of course all these podcasts are up on, all these YouTube lives are up on the website as well. So a place for people to go and see what I do and how I do it. And that's going to be across the board for anyone running professional services. And the copy on that website needs to be about what the person who's reading its problem is, not what you do. Yes, you say what you do later on, and you show your appropriate certifications, etc., etc., etc. But it's what is the problem? So people coming to the website are going to say, right, oh, that's me. Oh, okay. Yeah, she gets me, or she understands what my problem is. So there's a big difference from, I think the best scenario I give is someone who's doing VA services. I am a VA. I do, Excel edits, WordPress edits, Word edits, CRM setups, blah, 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 blah. I keep going on with this long bucket list of what you do. Do you not have the time nor want to understand how to edit your website, set up Excel files, move files from point A to point B? I can do that for you, because that's one of the services I offer. So that's the biggest problem I see in most of the lead generation. I see people just running out there and saying, here's what I do, and not why you should hire them for what they do, because people think, well, I do ABC, therefore people must understand what benefit that is to them. Often they don't. So online assets, I'll add to that a social media account in the various social media channels that matter. In professional services, generally Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. They're the big ones. If you've got something that's really heavily video orientated, then obviously you need a YouTube channel. TikTok. In professional services, look, I know people doing professional services got TikTok accounts and doing very well off TikTok. Never say never, but as a general rule, it's not high up there on the list. Neither is Pinterest, neither is Twitter, The only difference would be Twitter is very good. Think about who hangs out there. And the people who hang out on Twitter a lot are lawyers, hang out a lot, PR people hang out a lot, media hang out a lot on Twitter. It's one of their major vehicles, that quick thing. So if you're providing a service to those people, then be on Twitter. So have a presence on there. Be constantly putting your expertise out there. Here's what I do and here's how I do it. And here's the people I've done it for and how they redact information where necessary. But here's the people I've done it for and here's what they thought about what I've done. Like all of these YouTube videos each week or whenever I do them, they go up onto Twitter, LinkedIn, both the company page and my personal page. I've forgotten now. Instagram, Facebook. Where else do I put them up? The website, obviously. So I'm just having a quick look at the I even have to keep a master list so I know about what's been put up where. So the Facebook business page, any group that's appropriate to be linked to that group, to be linked to that business page, LinkedIn personal, LinkedIn company, Instagram, Twitter, and of course the website. So all of that's getting out there, and don't worry about the fact that you're putting the same thing everywhere. That is exactly the point. We know in marketing, and increasingly now in lots more than just marketing, is that you've got to say the same thing exactly the same way. At least, we used to say 7, it's now getting up around about 10 times for it to penetrate through to people. So say the same thing over and over and over and over again, and maybe by the 10th to the 15th time, it's, oh, okay, yeah, that applies to me. And they will then give them a place to go and click through. So if you're posting all these things up, don't just post them up and leave them with no link. Post them up with a link that says, okay, want to talk? Let's talk. I must admit, I don't do that one terribly well. So that's lead generation. And the next part of lead generation, which is not the first part, but the next part, is once you've got all those assets in place and you're consistently generating lots and lots and lots and lots of content, then get out there within the groups. Someone said to me the other day, they were talking, it was a post on one of the groups, you know, I can't get leads for, it was a graphic designer, that's right. You know, I'm struggling to get work. I said, well, what's your lead generation system? She said, well, I don't have one. I just wait for people to find me. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Where are your target clients hanging out? Firstly, who are your target clients? And please don't tell me women aged between 18 to 65 plus, living in Australia or living in the US or living in the world. It doesn't work like that. Drill right down on your target clients. Who are they? Where do they hang out? What are their interests? What are their behaviors? What do they do? You know, what do they have for breakfast this morning? What cars do they drive? What clothes do they wear? Where do they shop? Do they have kids, older kids, younger kids, babies? Do they work? Do they not work? When they work, what do they work as? Are they, teachers, professionals? Are they white collar workers, blue collar workers? I mean, you got to really know these people. Drill right down. When I'm doing target avatars for audits and things, I'm drilling right down. Why? What is the person that needs what it is you're offering, whether that's a product or a service? A good example is a product. I've just come off a large audit for a company doing products in the health and wellness sphere. They're not TGA recognized. They're not FDA recognized. They're organic supplements, so say. And the targeting was all about women, mostly women, because a lot of the products are for kids. They're products to help kids sleep, to help kids with ADHD, to help kids that are just hyperactive and just can't calm down, or they have lots of anxiety or whatever, any of those things. So they're mums, obviously. Plus, there's products for women who are struggling, like women who have got lots of young kids and they're trying to hold down a job or 2 or 3 or whatever it looks like, and maybe they're having issues with their partner. And then it went right up to the other end of the scale, which was products for peri and postmenopausal women. Now, all the targeting was being said, well, I've got products that go from, you know, women from age 18 to age 65 plus. Therefore, I'm just going to throw my content out there at that entire group. That's not going to work, because if the content you're putting out there is about the post menopausal and perimenopausal women, and you're targeting 18 to 65 plus, well, what a waste of money. You cannot be specific about your targeting. So your avatar, in this case, we did like general avatars that said, you know, women 18 to 65 is the broad group, and then there are many subgroups within that. If you've got a product that's really good for babies, and there are a few really good products I've worked with in Australia like that, like the you know, the night lights and the things that help, you know, toddlers, the babies go to sleep. Products from birth through to say 5 years of age. Products from say 5 years of age through to early teenage, and then products for teenagers through. So you've got to often target right down, and then you go and say, right, once you've written all of those targeting groups and subgroups, then go right down and say, okay, so where are those people hanging out? Where are they looking? Are they looking on, you know, is it a Facebook group? Is it a LinkedIn group? Are they on LinkedIn because they work in a certain specific industry? Do they hang out on Twitter? You know, where are the conversations going on? And where the conversations are going on is where you need to be, where you need to be seen and heard. On top of the infrastructure I've had set up as my business for years and years and years, I get out there in the groups. I don't know the number now because Facebook aren't publicizing it anymore, but I remember one group when I first started doing Facebook advertising. I was working with a Facebook ad guru, if you want to use that word, but I was doing a course, cost me a lot of money. And she had both a mastermind group, which I was in, and also her general closed group for those who were doing and had finished her course. And for years and years and years, that generated me a lot of work because I was in that group and I was showing my expertise. In fact, it generated me a lot of sales work because at one stage, her sales trainer had all of these people coming into the group and had picked up that a lot of them weren't good in sales closing. And so I ended up being a closer for many of those people for quite some years. Unfortunately, it was all US work and it ended up interfering with my schedule, but and I had to stop doing it internationally because I just needed sleep. But it's out there talking about what you do, but not in a way that's, what's the word? It's not in a way that's salesy. It's not in the way that, oh, I do this and therefore you should hire me. It's in a way that says, hey, here's what I know. So come from a place of authenticity and a place of being happy to give away everything you know. Trust me, even if you give away everything you know, people will still hire you. But they've seen and heard, and they'll look at it and go, and then half of them have lost what you do, you know, don't understand what you're talking about, and they say, oh, well, okay, clearly you do, and give them a way to contact you. So I think, and I forget where I was going with this point, but at one stage there where I was talking to her, Facebook was showing up the number of posts you do per month. And I think within that group alone, I wasn't doing, these weren't just posts, these were comments, these were engagements in the group. And I was engaging with that group between her mastermind and her main group. I was engaging with that group something like 600 times a month. And of course, there was just a lot of work coming in because I would talk to people and I wasn't that overt with the let's talk link because those people knew how to find me. But in other groups I am now, like where I'm in a lot of women's entrepreneur groups, you know, I'll say something about, well, the issue you have is blah, 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 and blah. It should be fixed by doing blah, 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 and blah. Would you like some more help? Would you like a complimentary chat about how you can fix what you're doing? Not about hire me, but about how you can fix what you're doing. And then I'll say, let's chat or let's talk with a link to the website or a link to that, direct into that booking link. Depends on what my mood is to whether I can grab the booking link or whether I just say, you know, come to my website. If I'm driving them to my website, then I'm driving numbers of views on the website, and I'm also giving them the ability to see what I do and you know, the testimonials, who I do it for, what sort of results I've achieved. And the let's chat, you know, book a call, complimentary is there. And I'll probably do Depends on what's going on, depends on how much I've got on that calendar, but I'm doing at least 5 or 6 of those a week. And out of that, probably I close around about 70 to 80% of them. Or I'll talk to people and say, look, that's great. I'm really not in a position to do what we need to have done now, but I'll circle back to you. So I keep them in an email list in ActiveCampaign. I must admit I should be sending emails out to the people, but I'm not that good at it. So ultimately, don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say is the adage. So ultimately, you should just keep re-engaging with those people over. So we talked a while back. Your issues were A, B, C, and D. It doesn't have to be personal. It helps if it is personal, but that takes a lot of time. And then just keep yourself in front of them, because that's what it's about. And that is a constant process. No matter whether you're busy or not, that should be a constant process, because you don't know, even if you've got 50 clients, you don't know that all of a sudden 20 of them are going to leave you. So constantly just keep staying out there. It's much harder to re-engage and keep that whole profile running if you're not doing it regularly. I'll get a lot of people now say to me they'll end up on or end up on Messenger rather than Let's Talk. I don't specifically ask them to go to Messenger, but I get a regular group through Messenger and always keep looking at your other request folder. He'll say, look, I've seen your posts in the group. I really like what you say. Can we talk? And okay, then they get the Let's Talk link. You see that a lot. You'd be surprised how many people are looking at what you're saying, and they form an opinion about you. And then but you've got to stay front of mind with them. I don't know how many times I don't actually post often to Facebook groups. What I do is I comment a lot. I'll comment depending on my mood, depending on the time of the day, late at night or weekends. I'll probably do 30 or so comments a week on the various groups I'm in. I'm happy to give out expertise for nothing, hence these sorts of videos. Now that's the place you've got to come from. If you come from that place of abundance, and you pick my brain, you can have everything, within reason. You don't want to keep going. So the adage is, when you are doing a Let's Talk, you've usually got to the end of them and they're either going to say, no, I can't do this right now for various reasons. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they don't see the value in it. Maybe they're not ready for what it is you suggest they have to do. Because sometimes I talk to people who are still setting up businesses, or they've said, great, how do we work together? And the interesting thing is, when they say, great, how do we work together? It's pretty rare for them to say, how much is this going to cost me? You end up in this conversation and say, right, let's do it. How do we do this? And I say, maybe you might want to know how much is this going to cost. and they laugh and say, oh yeah, okay, maybe I should have asked that. That is constant. If you're constantly just rolling over day in, day out, being out there, being seen, being heard, and being noticed, you will keep up a constant generation of leads. And so maybe if you get into times when you've got too much work to handle, that's great. Just bring in contractors if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to grow. If you don't want to grow, then that's fine. But if you want to grow, then bring in contractors. Start moving yourself up the ladder and bringing in contractors to do some of the grunt work down below you. Been there, done that in the past. I tend not to anymore. What I tend to do is I tend to stop commenting so much in groups and things, and I never ever chase anyone that's come and chat to me. I will never go back to them and say, so we chatted last week and you were still thinking about it, purely because I don't want to do that. But if lead generation is important to you and you do need more work, then you keep doing that. You keep touching base with people after they've spoken to you, whether that's via an automated email, via something like ActiveCampaign, and pick your email programs. There's plenty of them out there. I particularly like ActiveCampaign. But whether it's like an automation in that process, or whether it's just by popping back into the messenger thread a month or so later, or a week later, or whatever. So how's things going? Have you had a chance to think about it? Or whether you then go, if you're a bigger business, you then will go and do things like have hire VAs and things to do appointment setting for you. So that's how virtually it goes when you're doing lead generation for, as I said, professional services, not doctors, not lawyers. That's a whole Google thing, and that's about having a listing, having SEO and all that out there on Google. I actually don't even have SEO properly set up for my own business. I'm in a situation where I just have never needed to have a huge, a huge presence on SEO, because people are what I do is, like, people are not going to Google marketing contractors or marketing plans. They generally don't Google that sort of stuff. If they do, then it's just not worth my while, in my opinion, to be paying super mega dollars for Google AdWords or SEO. If you're an agency and you're trying to build lots and lots of clients in that realm, then that's a whole different kettle of fish. What I'm talking about more is the independent contractor, the single contractor, the person that's just starting off, and they're not an agency. They're at a lower level, but they just need a constant amount of work just flowing in, so they're not getting the peaks and troughs. They're not getting the, oh my God, I've got too much work this week, to a week or 2 weeks later have, oh my God, I don't have enough work. And why is that happening? It's happening because you're not keeping a constant source of lead generation going on out there. So out of a week, most nights from about 5 o'clock onwards, and until often midnight, and most weekends I will just be in the groups, just quietly, sometimes not even quietly for some people, in there, just handing out free information and showing that I can talk the talk and walk the walk. And it will stop that. It will stop the peaks and troughs. So then I get to a point, however, when I'm sitting on about 10 inquiries, and I think, oh God, if all of those 10 inquiries come in, what the hell am I going to do? You deal with it. It's if you close 30 to 50% of those inquiries or those hey let's chats into real business, then well done, because that's the sort of level. It's a numbers game. The more people who see you, the more people who talk to you, and it's a decreasing number. They see you, they talk to you, they get services from you. And then what do you do then with the other part of lead generation, is then going back to those who've got services from you. So I do a lot of marketing audits, and the end bit will be recommendations. Here's what I found, here's what I recommend you do. So the next part of my lead generation is going back to those people, and I do that fairly actively, and saying, okay, so we found you needed blah blah and blah. I can do that for you, and here's what it's going to cost. Or let's get together and talk about taking you to that next level and implementing what it was I found that you needed doing. There was a big lead, a big audit, big issue, it was 60 odd pages that I did for a client just over Christmas time. And so that client's now come back to me 3 times. So we did the first bit, then I found the issues I found, one of them which was the email setup, and the emails enough weren't going out, they weren't branded correctly, there was no strategy in place. So she came back, and then I did an email audit. And now that email audit's gone out to it, she's considering it. I've got some recommendations in there, like build templates, have a more strategic approach to it. Think about what emails are going out when, rather than just saying, well, I think I maybe should send an email out today, and what the hell am I going to say? And now that will turn into another section of work. And then you get some of those that then you end up building up, and I end up becoming their project manager for them, because it's work on top of work on top of work on top of work. That's your lead generation. And it's lead generation to existing clients, to clients that have just had you on a project basis, through to lead generation, some people who don't know you at all. So that's probably all I can really comment on for this video. I think my main takeaway point is be out there, be authentic, be seen. And when you're out there being authentic and being seen, people will want to talk to you. But what you've got to remember is they will be checking you out before they're going to talk to you. So they'll be going and finding who, they need to see where your infrastructure is. So on Facebook, you need to have where your personal profile is on Facebook. You need to have, I'm just going to see if I can find it. Says me, you'll probably go and find it and find out I don't have it set up properly. Hang on, my Facebook's just loading. Come on, Facebook. Wakey, wakey. Sorry, this is taking a minute. Just a sec. So on your personal profile on Facebook, you can't use Facebook personal profile to start to really lead generate. Facebook don't like it. They want you to do it off your business page. But when you're commenting in groups as yourself, people need to be able to see what your online assets are. So let me just, okay, share screen. So this is my personal profile, remember, on Facebook. Here's the intro, and this is on Firefox, so it might look a little differently to some of you what you see on Google. My profile is as a digital creator. This is the link across into my business page. So if someone's going to see me commenting around in groups, they're going to come across where I've made a comment, and they're going to be able to look at my profile and say, oh, okay, what's she about? So they'll go across to my page where it's just full of YouTube links at the moment. And I must admit, I'm not good at doing other stuff. Like I really should have a proper content strategy for this. Oops, where am I? That's Karima R, which is the page. That's a separate page I've had. I really don't realize that was still linked. That should go. This is one of my other things I do. Where did I work at? That's not quite so relevant. It is relevant when I have arguments with people about vaccines and things, because I am ex-Pfizer, I am ex-Merck Sharp and Dome, I am ex-Private Pathology, I'm ex-Ronald Shaw Hospital, St Vincent's Hospital. And of course your educational details, what your degrees and things are, and then the link across to the website. So people say, but I don't want my bio to say things like that. Well, it needs to say things like that. It needs to have a spot where people can go across and say, well, what does she do? What's the background? Because you'd be surprised how many people look at this. And then when you're in groups, so if you're in a group, so when you're in a group, when people hover over, I honestly do not know who this person is, but when you hover over them, that's going to give people a chance to go through to that link that's on your personal profile. Now, stated at Eden Cowan works a broker. I don't know what broker is, because it's useless, because I don't actually, see if I can find one where it actually, see how many people don't have their background information? Okay, studied family nurse practitioner at, well, I don't really want to go through to that link. This is a moderator. Okay, this is a moderator. So Sasha Thomas, self-employed and works at Deals Upon Deals, and entrepreneur. Great. That, right click, that's going to take me into her business. So if you're going to be seen, give them something worth seeing, I suppose is a good way to say it. We're on, I'm screen sharing and it doesn't really like it. Or Facebook's a bit slow today. So I've clicked on there. It's immediately taken me into what has this person done? And from here, I anticipate that I can go to a website, only I can't. So shopping and retails. Oh, this is a Facebook. I say this is a group, but I don't know what it is. It takes to the group. Probably not the best example, but let's see if I can find one. Let's see what this looks like. No, that didn't work either. So you'd be surprised how many people don't. They don't use that. What does Topher do? That is through to his website. Let's find another one. Adlex Platinum. Jess probably will. Right. So no, she doesn't. That's interesting. I would surprise Jess doesn't put her business. In that case, I'm going to have to cut all the way through to my profile and let's see what she's got a Facebook group. She's got, I know that's not her main business. Okay, this is one of the top people in Facebook marketing, but she's doing so well she probably doesn't need it. So I'm not gonna have a go at her for that. But it's a minor point, but that is a big part of your lead generation. Putting information where people can easily find it. The other thing that I want to comment on for lead generation is put behind your, see, I haven't done it. I need a description in between. I need a description in between here. Behind these, I need a description. I can't do it from here anymore because Facebook's moved it. Switch profiles is getting a bit annoying sometimes, but anyway, it's what Facebook have done. Edit cover photo. Edit, there it is. So I need to put in here what my website is, what my statement is. What do I do? This is, just keep it neat because people can get across to here, go onto here, and the search engines will pick up this as well. Why don't I rate terribly highly on search engines? Is because I haven't done half of this. So put a comment behind there. Make it, people like to stalk and hunt and have a look at what people are doing. So there's no description there. So edit, do a description. At least, if nothing else, your website link. What do you stand for? What do you do? I would also put my Let's Chat in there, which would be a good place to put it. And then make sure you're about information, your social links, Wi-Fi network name. Why would I want to put that in there? But anyway, make sure you're about information, says enough about what you do. Actually, as I said, do what I say, not what I do, because this isn't actually as well set up as what I would like it to be. I have the email address. I have the website. I don't have all the other social links. Anyway, I obviously need to go and fix that this weekend. So make it that people can find you. If you know, do some basic SEO. So if nothing else, on basic SEO, people are going to be able to search and at least have you come up. That's not me. That's not me. So my SEO is not real good. I'd be better if I put, okay, there it is. So that's me. So, you know, all that, I don't have any SEO, trust me. So all that is having profiles in social media. It's always interesting when you do this, what comes up about what people have said about you. And sometimes it's not good. Be surprised what gets picked up off your name. All right, so that's enough of my raving for today. Shortly, for those of you who are interested, I also run Pet Care Magic, and I am going to be at 1:30 today Sydney time in, what's that, 1:45, 45 minutes. Going to be going live showing how to groom a baby puppy. Guarantee, hopefully the baby puppy's asleep at my feet, not buried somewhere. Putting a baby puppy on my grooming desk and showing you live what to do with a baby puppy. So have a great weekend and we'll chat later.